Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Stav Karras, and today we are going to talk about the 5 worst albums Kiss ever created. So before I jump into the list, let's get something straight. I don't hate Kiss. Kiss is one of my favorite bands of all time. However, if you have written 20 studio albums, you're bound to have a few stinkers. It's just going to happen. So without further ado, let's get into the video and let's see what I consider to be the 5 worst Kiss albums of all time. Number 5, Hot in the Shade. Hot in the Shade is the final Kiss album of the 80s and the final album with Eric Carr before he unfortunately died of cancer in 1991. The problem is this album isn't very memorable. It isn't inherently bad in terms of its production or its songs, it's just not great and I don't really remember much of it. The only 2 songs I really like on this album are Forever and Little Caesar. The rest I consider to be pretty much filler. I don't come back to this album when I want to listen to Kiss. I tend to skip it, or I'll only listen to those 2 songs if I really do want to get into that album. The album cover is pretty cool, and yeah, not much to say about this album. A bit of a disappointment apart from a couple of songs, and it's a shame that that was the last album with Eric Carr. I wish he sort of went out on a brighter note. On to the next one. Number 4, Sonic Boom. After 11 long years, Kiss put out another studio album called Sonic Boom in 2009 with the new lineup of Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer. This album suffers the same issues that I discussed with Hot in the Shade. 1 or 2 good songs, the rest are filler, but in this case the songs are actually pretty bad when they're the filler. The 2 songs I do like off this album would have to be Modern Day Delilah and I'm an Animal. The rest of the songs are quite generic and cliche and not very memorable. So songs like Hot and Cold, When Lightning Strikes, Say Yeah, I don't really enjoy those songs that much, and I feel like they're almost phoned in a way. They're almost rushed and there wasn't much thought put into them. So for that reason, Sonic Boom is pretty low on the list of Kiss albums that I like. Also, I am not a big fan of the production. It is quite generic, and the production, it sounds like there wasn't much thought put into it. It just sounds like it was like, yep, that's acceptable, let's roll with that. You can hear everything on the album, and that's fine, but nothing really stands out like you would want it to on an album. The other problem that I have with this album is Gene Simmons' voice. He has an awesome growl in his voice when he sings live, and even on some of the 90s and 80s albums and the 70s, he sung with a gruff voice. For some reason with Sonic Boom he didn't do that, and he just has this really odd timbre and tone to his voice when he sings clean, and for me personally that brought down the songs a lot. He could have made the song I'm an Animal even better if he had growled on it and he didn't sing it clean. It would have just made it that much better. So for that reason, Sonic Boom is not that good of an album in my opinion, and it's best left off the table when we're talking about Kiss albums that should be mentioned as some of the best. So on to number 3. Number 3, Psycho Circus. This was created in the era that Kiss decided to put their makeup back on and reunite with the original lineup, kicking out Bruce Kulick and Eric Singer and bringing back in Ace Frehley and Peter Criss. This was an awesome era and it really brought back a lot of fans for their live shows. However, I believe that the album was a bit of a letdown. It could be due to the fact that there were a lot of outside musicians playing Ace's and Peter's parts in most of the songs, obviously except for songs like Into the Void where you can actually hear Ace singing. Suffers again the same problems as Sonic Boom and Hot in the Shade. like maybe one or two songs that I consider acceptable. The rest are, in my opinion, junk. I only like the songs Within. The reason I like Within is it's super heavy, and I can't think of another Kiss song that sounds like it. And two, the title track. The best part of this song is the solo. It's amazing. I really do like the climax and the dynamics and everything. So those two songs, great. Unfortunately, I can't speak the same for the rest of the album. The rest of the album is not memorable at all. It sounds quite rushed and half-baked, and the worst songs would have to be We Are One and You Wanted the Best. Just really corny, not enjoyable. I almost never come back to this album, even for the songs that I consider to be the lesser of the evils, such as Within and the title track. I barely listen to Psycho Circus, and I just wouldn't really talk about it when I'm talking about Kiss albums that deserve a mention for their quality. Psycho Circus has to be left off the table for that reason. So yeah, not much to say about it. I don't really like Psycho Circus, and that's why it's on my worst list. So on to number 2. Number 2, Crazy Nights.
Here's a little song for everybody out there.
Let's just cut to the chase. This was another album done in the 80s by Kiss that I think is best left off the table. It's not memorable at all. I only like one song off this album, Reason to Live. That's it. The rest are pretty crap. Actually, you know what? This deserves its own mention. I wasn't going to talk about this, but you know what? Let's just say it, because this actually, in my opinion, brought down the album a lot. I don't know why. There's a song on this album called Good Girls Gone Bad, and this is a song sung by Gene. There was a lyric in this that was really weird. It threw me off so much when I heard it. I'm like, oh, this is like going behind bars sort of shit. It was like face of a woman, hands of a child. I wouldn't be surprised, Gene, if they don't let you near like little schools anymore for that lyric. That is weird. So yeah, that deserves its own mention of pretty terrible stuff that Kiss has done. Apart from that, there is not much on this album that is positive, if really much at all. The production is very underwhelming. It is very bubblegum pop sounding. The songs are quite corny. It's quite monotonous, actually. A lot of the songs almost blend into each other in that manner. They just don't go anywhere. And I'm not a fan of the album cover. It doesn't look like Kiss. It looks like they're trying to be someone else, and I don't like it. So, for that reason, Crazy Nights has to be the second worst album that Kiss has ever done. On to the worst album Kiss has ever done. Number 1, Music from the Elder. This one's going to be a little bit controversial because there are a lot of Kiss fans that do like this album almost in a cult-like fashion. So, just a disclaimer, I don't care. I hate this album. Kiss, what were you thinking? Oh man. Production is bad. The look at the time was really bad. The fact that it was a concept album, and it was a really bad concept too. You want to know the concept? The concept was a boy who was the chosen one. Bravo, Kiss! Great idea! Genius! No, not really. Oh, man. I can't get over that. Yeah, look, 2 songs of this album kind of saved it from being a total disaster. The Oath and A World Without Heroes. The rest can piss off. The songwriting on this is really odd. There's some weird church-sounding stuff. There's some very, just almost avant-garde like ideas that doesn't sit well with me. I really don't like listening to this album at all, apart from The Oath and A World Without Heroes. And even then, I don't like listening to those songs because it just reminds me of the other ones. The worst offenders have to be Just a Boy and Under the Rose and I I just don't like those songs. The chorus is pretty bad on all of them, if you ask me. And yeah, just bad. Kiss, no, what were you thinking? Stop. Even they'll admit that this was a bad idea, but they still play some of it live. You know, that's ballsy. I'll give you that, Kiss. So yeah, that was my rant. And it's pretty obvious now what I consider to be the worst Kiss album of all time, The Elder. So yeah, that just left a sour taste in my mouth talking about it. So yeah, that was my list today on the worst Kiss albums of all time. I hope you enjoyed it, and coming soon, the top 5 best Kiss albums of all time, just to change it up a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. This is opinion, so don't get offended. And yeah, see you all soon. See you guys.